Welcome to today's tutorial. In the last tutorial, we practiced the V-Ray render settings. Now in today's tutorial, we are going to create our light settings using hdri. I told you hdri is a map that can be used to create our own lighting. It's a high resolution image. It's very heavy. We have 6K, we have 12,000, we have 24,000, depending on the level of how will I put it, depending on the level of fineness. The higher the resolution, the better picture we have, or the better rendering settings we have. That's why it's good to have a good gig RAM, and also a dedicated video card. Now, as I said, we are going to create our HDRI, which we'll use for our environment setting. We are also going to learn about materials before we create our lighting settings. Now, when you export something or import something from Revit, you will have noticed that it has too many reflective materials on its components. For example, the doors, the windows, they have too much reflection there. So to avoid seeing all this when you are doing your rendering settings, you have to change everything to a V-Ray material. And how do you do that? Let's go to our top view. That's TZ. You now highlight everything using this box, this marquee, window crossing. You highlight everything. Then you click on M. M stands for material. That's another shortcut. M stands for material, or you come to this place, material editor. Now in some of your material editor, you have maybe 6 modes or 3 modes. It depends. So you go to your options and you see circle, the types of options you can have. So I do my own to the IS, which is 6x4, so I can have as many balls I can use for my rendering setting. So try it. If you have 3x2, I change it to 6x4, so I have too many balls to work with your material selection. So I've changed my own and I'm okay with that. Now I'll come to the first one and change it to a V-Ray material. If you notice in your own, you see maybe mental ray or arc design. So what we are going to do is we are going to change all our balls to V-Ray material. But before we do that, we want to first change everything to a V-Ray material using the override material. How do you do that? Let's click on one of your balls. Then you come to this arc design. Then it brings this material map browser. You scroll down under, you see materials. Let me minimize it so you understand. You see materials. Under materials, you see standard and V-Ray. So you click on V-Ray. You scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. You see V-Ray override material. That means overriding material that we got from Revit. So we are overriding it to our own V-Ray material. So I will not have any reflective elements showing in our scene. So I'll click on it and say OK. Now you say discard old material. That means the Revit material. You say yes. You click on discard old material and say OK. So it shows this black ball. Now under it you have base material and GI. So for base material, we click on it. Base material, click on it, then go to V-Ray material. We are now changing it to our material, which is V-Ray material. You double click, then you have under basic parameters, you have diffuse, reflect, refract. Now when you want to change the color of anything, you use diffuse. When you want how you want it to reflect, you choose reflect. That's maybe if you want a glossy material, you choose reflect. For that diffuse, I'll explain it. Then refract, if you want it to show refraction, just like in physics. So for diffuse, I'll change, want our color to be white. So I'll click on white, I'll drag it down and say OK. We'll go back to this our parent. Parent is the main one, while the sub one is the baby or the sibling. So we'll go to the parent and we'll turn to GI. Under GI, click none. Do the same process. V-Ray material, diffuse. Then let's make it a bit gray so we can see the effect of our V-Ray V-Ray light settings. You now say okay. So you can now apply the material. How do you do that? You know, this one is already highlighted. Let me minimize it. You already highlight this one and you press M. Then you now, this is our box we are working on. You can see it is in white. That means this is what is in this is what we are using. So you press assign material. You click on assign material selection. That means you want to assign the material to what we have been selected. Then you come here and say show in viewport, this button, show shaded material in viewport. That means what I've applied, let me see it in my viewport. So click on that. So all your building must be in white now. So let's go back to our C. So you can see the building has changed to a white color. So do that for your own building, and let's see how it looks like. You should not have any complications doing that. So after we have done this, now we want to create our lighting. So let's go to our TZ, then under V-Ray. You know, I taught you about this. This one is for create, this one is for modify, hierarchy. And now under create, there's a sub. We have geometry, we have shapes, we have lights, camera, and other. Go to V-Ray, you go to lights, then go to V-Ray. Again, lights, V-Ray. Now under V-Ray, we have these types. Go to V-Ray light. V-Ray light. It will bring about these parameters. Then under general, you know, we have clicked on V-Ray light. Under general, click on dome. There are different types. We have plane, sphere, and all these plane and sphere. We can use it for our lighting features. So we want to create our HDRI. So click on dome. Then click on anywhere on your scene and place it. That's it over there. Then do it in wireframe so that you can see it clearly. So that's our dome, our V-Ray dome. You can see it. That's the V-Ray dome. So that's what we are going to use to apply our HDRI. So we are still clicking on it. So on this dome now is where we are going to create our image, our HDRI, our light. That dome is going to cover the whole scene. So wherever you turn your camera setting to, the dome has already been covered everywhere. So you don't need to do multiple domes. Just that one dome will create as much render views as you want. So that's an advantage over Arc Exterior when you use Arc Exterior files. So this is my dome. Now let's go to our FZ and see whether it's sitting down properly. It must sit down properly on your plane. I taught you in the last class how to do that. Ctrl Z in case you made a mistake. Now in the last class I told you that this thing must sit on this one. So let's see whether it's sitting on it. Let's go to our FZ or our LZ, any elevation. Now this is it, and this is my plane. Now I want to create another plane because this my floor is quite limited. How would I do that? I told you create standard primitive and a plane so that I have enough coverage beyond my building. So that's my plane. So create a plane for your building. So I can now click on this one and this one and isolate selection. Now I'll go to a bigger view so that I'll see what I'm doing clearly. A toggle your view here. Now I'll say FZ. Now I'll zoom. I'll go to my C. I'll go to my shaded. Now I'll click on this. Then I'll align it to this. So it's on my Z position. So the minimum of my dome should sit on the maximum of my plane. The minimum of my dome should sit on my, so we apply okay. FZ, you can see it's sitting down there. So I can now isolate, I mean isolate. So it's there. So make sure you sit down properly on your plane. If not, the settings will not be okay. It will not come out well. There will be a lot of noise on your system, on your rendering. So let's look for it. TZ. This is it. So we are going to create an HDRI on top of it. How you do that is click on it and you modify. You now scroll down to texture. Now this is texture. Now we want to create an image for it, an HDRI for it. So you click on none. It brings you this material map browser. Then you say V-Ray HDRI. That means you want to use that ball for a V-Ray HDRI map. So let's click on it, double click on it. It's already there. You can see map 14 VRI. But I want to give you my own V-Ray HDRI. So what I'll do is that I'll click on my M and I'll drag it into my scene, and I'll click on instance. That means whatever I do here will also be affected here. Whatever I do here will also be affected here. So you don't need to start copying. That's the work of instance. We mentioned it in one of our classes. So I'll now say okay. So it's there now. Now I will now place my V-Ray HDRI into this scene. How do I do that? I come to my bitmap, then you see one small button here. I'll click on it. So I'll browse to where I have my V-Ray HDRI. So if you don't have V-Ray HDRI, you can go online to get. There are some online, and if you need, as I say, you can always ask, we can send it to you. But note that all these things are heavy, so it's difficult for me to send it online. I can only send it via flash to where your location is. So I have my own, okay, I have some here, V-Ray HDRI. These are some types of V-Ray HDRI. This is another type. It all depends. You can work with any of this and see the one that will be okay for you. There's one that I usually use by Rone Bonnekan. Okay, maybe it's not here. So HDRI. Now this one I was talking about, 6K, 12K, and 24K. So the higher the resolution, the better the picture will be at the end of the day. So these are the ones I use. Now let's check. You can see 515 megabytes, 5 gigabytes. So you can see how heavy these things are. So let's say I use this one. I'll click on it and press open. So it has loaded into my scene. Check, has they all loaded? So yeah, we have it now. So we can now change it to spherical. That means a round like object, spherical. So it is more visible like this, as you can see. So this has been applied to this. What we have done here has been applied to this. Now to now bring it into our scene, can see it's not showing in our scene, but we have already applied it. So let's go back to our and go back to this rendering. Then you go to environment, then you click and drag it to this environment map instance, so that whatever we do here is affected by here, whatever I do here is affected. You understand the flow. So I've copied it and I drag it and I place it here. That's all you have to do. Now to bring it into your scene, you come to view, viewport background, then you say environment background. Environment background. You can see now it has brought it into our scene. It has brought it into our scene. So let's go back to our and rotate it. You can rotate it to suit what you want, to get a good image. Now how do you do that? Under horizontal rotation, you just move it. You can see the sky is moving. When you get a good background that you really like, you can stop. Let's say, but you are going to do it as many times as possible to get a good view. It's not just placing it and that's it. You have to do some settings. Some of those settings is the processing. You have overall multiplier, which is usually 1, the render multiplier, which is 1 by default. Then your image inverse grammar under color space should be 0.7 at least 0.7 mm. It will give the your